Welcome to NC Political Tea, the show where North Carolina's political scene gets served piping hot, grassroots style. We're here to shake up the status quo with unapologetically conservative takes and a whole lot of Southern charm. From the halls of Congress to under the dome, we're exposing the deals, the drama, and the dirt that the mainstream media won't touch. Who's fighting for your freedom? Who's selling out to the woke mob? And who's about to get roasted? No fluff, no filters, and absolutely no time for spineless politics. Just bold Republican commentary, sharp analysis, and enough sass to make the left squirm. So grab your sweet tea or something stronger, and let's dive into the hottest headlines and juiciest scandals rocking the Tar Heel state. This is NC Political Tea, where the truth always gets served.
It does. It always gets served.
That's right. And we put sweetener in our tea. Well, people don't think we do, but we do. Well, you're drinking probably that Skittles fruit juice.
I am drinking Skittles water. It's a water flavor that it makes getting down my water much more pleasurable.
I'm over here drinking like real water.
Good for you.
I know.
You know, I'm a sweet freak, so
get your candy where you can, right? Because honestly, I know you well enough to know you're not going to sit around and eat a chocolate bar. But you'll eat some gummy bears.
I will destroy some gummy bears.
I know.
And you, to your credit, funny story. A few years ago, we were in DC. I think you walked in -2-degree weather to get me some gummy bears.
I did.
This is a real friend.
That is a real friend. And you kept saying, stop buying these for me. And I'm like, I'm not going to stop buying these for you.
You're trying to get me fat over that week. I remember that. But anyway, that's what friends are for. Giving you things
right.
to eat. Okay. And I was just showing you this before I got on. This is the coolest phone case. I got it from Shein. If you ever want it, I got one in black too, but I think it's going to get me in trouble. And it actually,
it does have a trigger on it.
You can work on your trigger pull. You can't pull back the slide, but you can work on your trigger pull.
That's hilarious.
And annoy the hell out of people if you're in meetings or whatever.
If I took that to, oh my gosh, if I took that to work,
you'd be fired.
I wouldn't. I don't think they'd fire me, but they might make me put my phone away, which they do every day because we're always in a meeting on a phone anyway.
They would make you put your phone away, definitely.
Do you know how they get you to stop being on your phone or multitasking now? You must be on video. So I'm quite accustomed to being on video all day.
So they surveil you all the time on video.
No. Normally I'm talking to people outside of work. Yeah. So, and if we have meetings, it's required. It's the new trend. You have to be on video. I guess they think we're on TikTok. I don't know.
That did not work out for Jeffrey Toobin on CNN. That was a terrible idea. Look it up, Jeffrey Toobin, about 4 years ago. But
you know what's funny, Sloan? I never in my life thought that baseball caps would become professional attire, but they have.
It's a great way to cover a bald spot, maybe.
Women wear them on calls now. I'm like, that's our new thing. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy when I put my hair up, but lately I'm like, oh wow, that's cool. I guess that's what we do now. I don't know. Anyway,
well, okay. So let's actually, none of this segues into anything we're talking about. So.
No, wait. I'm the white Christian nationalist talking to you. Let me be.
You are a white Christian nationalist, and you're from Western North Carolina.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So,
and I have an American flag, which makes me completely triggering to any leftist on my house. Because if you fly a flag in the front of your house, you trigger people.
Well, I damn sure fly a flag. So this is what 60 Minutes. This is the hit job they did on Christians living in Western North Carolina. Was it Monday night? No,
it's Sunday night. It's Sunday night, and it's not just people living here; it's people that came to help us.
It's ridiculous. So let me play this for you, audience. If you haven't seen this, this is just, okay. I just want to give you some perspective. Joe Biden, remember his inaugural speech, the greatest threat was white supremacy in America, the inaugural speech. So when I heard that, as everyone.
Black background with that Marines in the back.
Yeah, it was very ominous and terrifying. So this is just who Democrats are. You're going to see it. It's horrible. Wait, hold on. We had to do our first AI check. So we had to make sure that you know that we're not AI.
Groups that showed up in North Carolina was Patriot Front. They cut down trees and handed out bread.
Are you sure just one loaf?
But Freddie Cruz from the Western State Center, a hate group watchdog, says these white nationalists go to disasters primarily.
Freddie looks like he doesn't know jack shit about Western North Carolinians or Christians, but go, Freddie, tell us what you...
To build a following. These people come in, they hand out water, they help clean up the debris. Whatever their ideology, they're doing something positive, aren't they?
What we're seeing is actually these groups will show up and generate a whole bunch of social media content. We're dubbing it disaster tourism.
And then they leave?
That's generally...
People leave. I have a newsflash for you, babe. People volunteer and then they leave.
Yeah.
I won't even play Freddie and Leslie. I won't even play anymore, but...
Oh, let me tell you that this is Adam Smith. If you're not familiar with Adam Smith, he's the guy who told the FAA, we're going to land that helicopter here, whether you like it or not, in Swannanoa. And those are active duty service members, as well as either retired or former military service members who came to Western North Carolina to help us. They called these veterans white Christian nationalists.
There's Adam there. Yeah. And then this is his
the whole crew at Savage Freedom. We love them.
So it's the same. It's the same thing. Look, I'm not are there white nationalists, etc.? Yeah, but why? It's the framing of it.
Well, what really bothers me living here is that North Carolina, if you don't know it, the majority of people that join the military from North Carolina are from Western North Carolina. They are Christians. They are white. It is 90% white here.
Well, the black folks that join are from the Eastern North Carolina districts, and that's because it just kind of breaks out where the population is. So if you want white rural people, you'll go to Western North Carolina. If you want black rural people, which they don't do in
Eastern North Carolina,
you'll go to, and it's just kind of the way that it falls out.
Well, if you knew anything about the history of Appalachia, you would know that this is the area that most people couldn't settle in. You had to build something. You had to work the land. It was a difficult place. It wasn't places where people wanted to go. The Scotch and Irish came here. But the interesting part is, and this is the part that really pisses me off about Leslie Stahl and her ghoulish look. If they did any research, they would know that in Henderson County, there was a place called Freetown because it was free during the war, the Civil War, for Black Americans to live freely.
Well, she must be missing that part.
Of course she is.
Well, this is something also that the Democrats did yesterday at the General Assembly.
No, the North Carolina Democrats did it because they're nut jobs.
The North Carolina Democrat,
nut job Democrat, same thing.
They're just, in other words, what we're doing now is drawing it from the national to the local. You know, we can get municipal,
regional.
We can even get in your damn church, and you'll be able to see a line of demarcation where people who have sense are and people who do not. We kind of know where that breaks out. But anyway, this really pissed me off. I think it really pissed a lot of people off. But
between what we are seeing in these crisis pregnancy centers, what we are seeing.
So you're seeing a trans person cosplaying a clergy member. Go ahead.
Being an other Christian nationalist policy imposition on ability for.
The same week. Ding, ding. But continue.
For trans individuals to receive health care and gender affirming care, to see what is happening in our schools with the so-called Parents' Bill of Rights and all of the ways in which LGBTQ issues, book banning, across healthcare, across all of the issues between what we are seeing in these crises.
I'm going to do something extraordinary, and I'm going to go ahead and give you guys 10-second warning. I'm going to show you what is exactly in the schools that we've taken out 5 years ago and continue to have a hard time. So if you've got children watching or before dinner,
You don't want to see it.
But our kids are seeing it. So this is what she, him, they, I don't give a damn. Cosplaying, it's sacrilegious. Really.
It's blasphemy.
It is. Cosplaying a clergy member to object to this.
Oh my.
Well, these are in the books.
We used to think Judy Blume was just so risque. I guess I was wrong.
Getting your period. This is the filth that Democrats want in our schools. This is a fact.
I can't watch this anymore.
It's disgusting. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, when during his tenure, we brought this to his attention, and he called a press conference immediately to call this out and to show it. None of the newspapers could show it. None of the TV stations could show it. Yet you can show it in our classrooms.
Well, I think there was like a crescendo event. Friday, they showed us that they don't care about parents and they don't care that that we as a group have rights and that they think we should, obviously take care of our child. Yeah, they want us to take care of our children, but when we do, they want laws to stop us from having too much parental control, right? Then we move to Sunday where Leslie Stahl and her ghoulish self puts up all these people and calls us national, whatever, idiots.
I guess I'm a Christian nationalist now.
Yeah. And then you get that on Monday. That was Monday. That came Monday at the General Assembly because, they can't stop. They're on a roll making themselves look like nut jobs all weekend.
In other words, for all of you that are complaining about Trump, and by the way, we have a two-party system. There's a binary choice. Kamala Harris could be in, and you would be getting this 24/7 rammed down every channel. And we remember that from Biden. So do not forget. They're not going to let you forget, and we're not going to let you forget what they're doing. This is who the Democrats are, and they want to double and triple down on this. These are the facts. You see it.
Well, first of all, I'm so thankful Indiana happened last night. I know we're not supposed to talk about that tonight. That's not on our radar, but I'm just going to say the country needed that. The country needed a big middle finger to all these elitists who let those people act like that to us when they're supposed to represent us. They let them do that at the General Assembly when they're the supermajority. Well, the majority, not the supermajority.
Well,
they could have easily said, what are you doing? Advocating for things that are against the law.
Well, they actually have a right to call a press conference, and
they
did.
Absolutely do, but they don't have a right to continue to indoctrinate our children.
Oh, hell no. And I think you're right. This should be shut down right now. And I love the hearings that are going on. I've really touted all the hearings, but at a certain point, cut the funding off. And I know, it's not politically expedient to do that right before the midterms. I'm telling you, there's what we want, and then there's reality. But the hammer must fall hard and fast. I'm telling you guys, this is shown. Not only is it shown, they're flouting the law in Durham, in Chapel Hill, right?
Oh, there's more places doing it. There are. They're just the ones that are stupid enough to put it out in public.
Oh, yeah, they love that. They're like, loud and proud. We're not going to follow the law. And they need to have their funding cut.
And I believe that needs to happen from the university level on down. If you're going to risk, going and breaking the law, then you don't need money from the state.
Right. Why should we pay for it? And we shouldn't. So at the time that teachers and the NCAE, which is a de facto teachers union, wants $20,000 per student, which is, I believe, a $7,000 per student raise. By the way, not telling us what they want the money for. They're doing things like this, keeping pornography in
$20,000. That sounds really like, wow, that's a lot of money. Just so you know, students in Wake County may be $12,000, $13,000 a head. They're $8,000 where I live. So if we gave people $20,000, listen, we should have a bunch of damn geniuses around here. They should all be going to MIT.
Yeah. From the state.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, it does matter, actually, because the formula is state, municipal, federal. Federal should not exceed 3% of your total funding formulation. Some counties it exceeds, or it is right about 6. So that just is kind of the calculation there. So in other words, state and municipal. So what Margot just said is that Wake County gets upward of, and I don't really have a total calculation. Let's say for the sake of argument, they're getting 22,000 now. Well, the state gives a finite amount per student. I think it's, what is it? I want to say 13,000 right in there. And so what we, the taxpayers here in Wake County, are doing is giving lavish amounts more. Mecklenburg County the same, while rural areas don't get as much.
We don't have it. We don't have it to give. We just don't. We don't have the same kind of commerce. We don't have the same kind of infrastructure.
We're going to have Sam Page on to explain his understanding of what this is and what he's looking for. We may not agree with what he says, but we're definitely going to hear him out. So we have to change gears, but we are still talking about the ding.
I've been trying to put this one off.
Well, we're talking about, let's see this. Okay. Girls bathroom. Yeah. And we're still seeing, thank you, Carol. We're still seeing boys in the girls' bathrooms. I can't believe we're not seeing more boys coming back to school the following day in a wheelchair.
You know what? Can I say to anyone watching that is having that happen, why are you not in touch with the Women's Forum? I can't remember the actual name of that. Say it again.
Independent Women's Forum.
That's right. The Independent Women's Forum and Peyton McNabb, who got sued by Western Carolina University. Yeah, she got sued for a Title IX lawsuit and beat them. So if you guys want to really find an advocate in your state who also got the Women in Sports bill passed, she's right here in my county. You should reach out to her.
Or DM us. Every time you DM us, I call you about 5 o'clock the next day and say, why did I say that? But really.
Every time you do that.
Every time I do that.
I do it to you too.
Yeah, there's like 1,000 waiting, and we love you guys. Just keep it going. Okay, so.
Take a deep breath.
It has been widely reported, and guys, we're a little late to most stories because we like to see them mature, especially about these sort of things, because sometimes they're made up. So we waited, and it's looking increasingly like people have seen evidence that your representative is out there playing the ding-a-ling games with 20-year-olds and taking them to 20-year-olds. This guy's
Vegas.
To Vegas and writing them, which is really bright, handwritten notes professing his undying love and a bunch of other things that make me want to throw up. And we're kind of screwed in fact, we're probably going to get a Democrat elected. Tell us about what's going on.
So listen, he could have easily have sent that letter sincerely. I'm not a Chuck Edwards fan. Let me just say that up front.
Oh, no.
But I'm also not going to try to find fault that I haven't physically seen. But he could have easily, because he's such a social misfit, he could have easily written a note that just didn't come out the way he intended, just like when he's standing next to President Trump and hands him a French fry penny. He looks stupid. But the point is,
the note was sexual.
Well, is it sexual to say, I had a great time and I appreciate you? I don't know. Maybe he went to dinner and did have a great time. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I can tell you this.
Okay.
They're going to capitalize on this, even if it was innocent. I mean, let's be honest. Even if it was innocent, they're going to capitalize on this because they feel like there's an opening in Western North Carolina that was almost a 10-point district and is now down to a 5-point lead district in Republican. And Professor Chris Cooper said he pulled it from Crystal Ball, that it's lean Republican now. So they're going to take every opportunity to chip away at that narrow margin so that they can get Jamie Ager in there, who, by the way, is a radical, just like AOC, but he wears flannel and muck boots and acts like he doesn't have a $23 million farm. And his brother's in the General Assembly here in North Carolina, and he votes with the radicals. So if you think he's not going to vote like his brother does,
Democrat in North Carolina is radical.
That's right.
And if you think there are moderates in the Democrat coalition, let me disabuse you of that notion right now and right here.
That's because Josh Stein campaign to get any of them that even took one issue on the Republicans out.
Well, I am so glad that you provided me a very natural segue. This was in the Carolina Journal today, and I appreciate this piece very much. And it's talking about Democrats are aiming, obviously, for a sweep in Mecklenburg County. So they're only like 2 reps off, right, from that. So they want a big sweep. And we know what this, they're trying to turn Mecklenburg County into a one-party political machine, getting all 13 of those seats. If you look at the municipality elections and the, judges and stuff, it already is, but they're trying to purge. Actually, they have purged moderates from their own party. Let's just go ahead and say it. And I'm talking about the 2 issues that seem to be animating them. One, overwhelmingly, immigration. And we're going to talk about that tonight in just a second.
Crime.
Number 2 is they are obsessed with sexual politics in the classroom and this trans bullshit. I'm telling you, it is an obsession.
Well, and I think it's important to note that the sheriff is a clown. He made a public spectacle of himself at the General Assembly. And there's no way you could take Charlotte and Mecklenburg's police department at the county level seriously. You just can't.
They run the jails mostly, and they do.
They still pick up criminals.
School safety, right? They serve warrants, but the real function is CMPD, which is a little bit different. But your point's well taken.
She's also just as bad.
Well,
she just looks a little nicer in front of camera and speaks a little more politically correct.
Who does?
The chief of police.
Yeah, you're right. So these are the litmus tests, and they're trying to do this, etc. But make no mistake about it. These guys are absolutely radical through and through. And you may say, Sloan, sounds like a lot of hyperbole on your part. Do you have any interest in walking it back?
No.
I would say, I don't. And I would offer you some proof.
Why do you keep doing that? You just really want to talk about those hospitals right now.
I don't want to talk about the hospitals. I want to talk about this. So this is a collection of legislation that the Democrats have unleashed in the General Assembly. This was posted 2 days ago. This is a misnomer of a title, Protection of Constitutional Rights. Really what it is doing is it's saying any ICE officer, anybody in public safety can be sued for getting criminal illegals out of the country. It makes it easier to sue cops and federal agents. North Carolina would immediately be in conflict with federal immigration laws that are already on the books and have been through every presidency, including Biden and Obama.
But here's another piece of the strategy. Aside from what the bill says, which is lunacy, it's all loony toony stuff. They need to get that bill read one time. Why do they need to do that, Sloan? Because if they take those seats in the House, North Carolina House, they're going to implement that bill immediately.
So let's do time travel. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The collection of bills, we've been chronicling this. So several months ago, maybe the beginning of the year or before, there were bills posted, get this, that would make it illegal for law enforcement agents to assist ICE in any way in, wait for it, churches, schools, or hospitals. So where you've got elderly, where you've got children, that's where they want, obviously, gangs will congregate there. If it's illegal to apprehend them.
Qualified immunity, right? They want to remove qualified immunity. That's part of it, right? Isn't it?
Well, they do. So guys, I'll tell you what that means. There's another bill too that wants to remove qualified immunity for police officers. It's already, you guys know, I'm actually suing a police department. So I'm biased, right? I'm understanding both sides of it. However, if police officers are afraid that they could just be civilly sued for anything, it's going to create, you want to talk about ambulance chasers. qualified immunity means if I see somebody, if I'm a cop and I see somebody doing something and I use my best judgment in that moment, maybe I'm wrong, but isn't it better to get someone in front of a judge and understand that? That's the theory behind it. They want to make it so that they see a crime and they would lean towards ignoring it because they don't want to lose their house.
Or, well, actually, the best representation of what happens when they remove qualified immunity is what's happening in New York. The police officers are at the lowest of lows in employment numbers. They're leaving the state as quickly as they can, retiring, moving to Miami or some parts of Florida, Georgia, any place. And they're getting incentives to do that because they have qualified immunity. They're being treated as if their job is respectful. So if you want to see,
well, hold on, qualified immunity is a bad thing
to you.
No, to them, it would be horrific. I mean, if they have no qualified, I see what you're saying. They have it, right?
Yes.
They want to rescind that or chip away.
They have done it in New York. Yeah. So, I mean, I think
Illinois as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm sure in California too, I'm positive they'll probably assume.
Without a doubt.
Here's another piece of it. On top of all these radical things the Democrats are doing, we have a governor and a guy running for Senate, the clown in a cardigan. They are out parading to get leftist businesses, gigantic corporations, to move to, guess where? Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro. Guess why?
Yeah.
So we can have more of these leftist clowns in our cities and in the population of North Carolina to offset the majority of conservatives and change these radical policies into these radical policies.
Well, I mean, they've done that starting with Bank of America, which remember
Apple.
San Francisco. It will remember moved from San Francisco in like the early 2000s, I think 2000.
Mm-hmm.
That's when everything started changing in Charlotte, Mecklenburg. And yeah, I mean, they're cherry picking the companies. But look, the General Assembly has a lot of control over this. And I'm tired of the tax breaks for corporation. I'm tired of what they're doing. We're being led by Republicans. And by the way, we're about to tee off on Republicans in just a second here.
Well,
so
it's not just being tired of them, Sloan. Average North Carolinians are being really removed from the gentrified out of their communities. Truthfully, if you have people coming from even upstate New York, where housing costs are much higher and the taxes are higher, and they can come into a neighborhood and all of a sudden it inflates the rates and the taxes, what does that do for an elderly person that has had a home there for 70 years?
Or minorities.
They can't afford it.
Yeah, it specifically targets minorities right out of their homes. There's been a lot
of elderly.
Correct. Yeah, because if you can't afford the taxes, right? So there's a lot being done on property taxes. We talked about it last week. We'll probably be talking about it tomorrow because there's some policies have come in, but or there's some stuff I think moving in the General Assembly, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's I thought I saw it on the calendar today that the amendment
up today.
Yeah. Well, there was a calendar didn't get followed because they keep putting it up. It keeps getting changed. Yeah, because I saw it at midnight last night. But anyway, the amendment that Rep. Echeverria and Perret and all them have been working on to allow us the flexibility of having the General Assembly say ixnay on the taxes, the levy taxes, is being brought up on the floor. And I thought I saw another one that was changing the homestead exemption for needy North Carolinians.
Yeah, there are, and we'll keep you posted on that. I believe there's bipartisan support for that.
Except for the Teachers Association. Because they think they're part of the General Assembly.
Of course. And thank God they're not.
Right.
Okay, so we got to get this off of here. Wait, okay, now. Look, I mean, every now and then, by the way, if you don't get the inside joke, let me just avail you to what we've been talking about. We don't want to be accused of being too perfect because then it's AI-ish. So I will put in one or two different mistakes
to prove we're not AI.
Just so you know that, that we're real people.
So our haters can talk about something.
Yeah, we don't have any haters.
That's right.
We don't have any.
They're dead to me.
Okay, so look, Wake Med. There's this atrium. They were going to merge. Wake Med is the biggest system here biggest employer, really, I think, period, in Wake County. But Atrium, who owns, the hospitals in Charlotte and other places, wanted to swoop in and buy them up. And so we had the treasurer, and we had
the auditor.
So this is Treasurer Brad Briner. He makes the salient point, and we're going to make several of these points, that you're going to screw competition, right? And then he really tees off, to his credit, and says, this is bad. This is not going to be good. And they stopped it. So, right?
You ready for me to rant? I'm just kidding.
I am ready for you to rant. You're about to tee off.
I am.
Hold on. Should I put up the history? Let's just do a little 20-year look back.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so let me remove this.
We've been putting it up for all night.
Okay, wait. This is the one I really wanted.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
no.
it. That's it.
Now I had a better one. Okay, but damn it. All right, so the consolidation. In fact, I think North Carolina is the most consolidated area. We have two major systems, really. Okay, we've been doing it since 2006, 20 years ago, after the Medicare reimbursement change in 2006. Rural hospitals. Now you have to understand, North Carolina is second only to Texas in terms of rural territory, right? We've got, I want to say 92 out of our 100
91
counties,
or 92, you're right,
considered rural. So Medicare really compressed things and necessitated mergers, right? Some of the early ones are here, but tell us about the 2019 merger, because that was the mother of all mergers.
So in 2019, Mission Memorial Hospital here in Asheville, which was at the time a nonprofit, locally run hospital, merged with this British corporation out of, I don't know where they were out of, it doesn't matter. But they merged, and it was a huge deal. It was over a $6 billion deal, billion with a B. But what happened from that was the care went down. Prices they cut staff, and prices went up. Wait times in emergency rooms went up. Deaths went up. Quality of care went down. A union was brought in for the nurses, which we'd never had before. And it's really put Western North Carolina in a position where that's a trauma center for us. And if you live where I live, that's where you go, because it's in North Carolina. Now in my area, we would even drive through the gorge, which is a long, hard drive. It is not an easy drive, but that's where we go, because we wanted North Carolina insurance to kick in. We want North Carolina doctors. Now we don't do that anymore. We know better. We either go to Erlanger in Chattanooga, or we go to Atlanta. We do not go to Mission Memorial anymore. It's so bad. Asheville in itself is bad, but the hospital has had multiple infractions and fines from the federal government since this merger took place. And why I'm upset is, why didn't anybody in Raleigh say anything bad about that merger? The biggest one that ever happened in the state. Now, this is not about Brad Briner. I really like him, and I really like Dave Bullock. This is not about them. But you got Council of State members that are standing up because they live in a community for what is happening to their citizens. When the people that were running or lived in my community did that, they were like, it's a good deal. Just take it. Don't worry about it. It isn't a good deal. It hasn't been a good deal. It's been a horrible deal for us. You cannot have a baby in the final 4 counties of North Carolina. There is no OBGYN. And so my concern, or my concentration on what I said to Brad Briner, is, if you're going to do this, why won't you ease the con laws in rural areas so that we can work in a way to give more in our area?
Okay. I want you to go over that, but I want to give you a few factoids. So after this merger, prices at Mission went up 29%, as statewide prices fell 10%. Now, the drivers of consolidation, not for Mission perhaps, but for other rural areas. Here's the driver. Financial pressures, capital needs. And so that's one of the reasons why. I mean, many, there's also a patient lag. The birth rates are down, et cetera. The financial stability is really what's given, as the key.
Well, I think you missed one big one.
Well, I'm not done.
Stockholders.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, that's profitability. And so there has to be profitability. I mean, nonprofit hospitals even have to show profitability, but they give charity care. It's a long story. But it also means that either you're going to go to UNC Health and like it, or you could go to UNC Health, or if you really wanted to live on the edge, you could go to UNC Health in a lot of these rural areas, right? Now,
we don't have that.
I know, but let me tell you about the story of what happened in Eastern North Carolina. Gosh, I think it was 4 years ago. ECU, which is Vidant Health, they made a play to well, actually, they were crying poor mouth because we don't have Medicaid, and we've got to shut down all these clinics. So after Medicaid expanded, they shut down 5 different clinics, meaning if your kid had autism, the closest drive for you to get them examined was in Raleigh. Now, back then, I think the gas was maybe $3, right? Now it's $4.50. So, you and I could probably bite the bullet and do a 2.5-hour trip, right? A lot of families cannot afford that. So you've got a lot of people that are going untreated. Now, they closed a women's clinic. I think that was like 90 minutes away from Vidant. They closed it completely. You're talking about having your OBGYN visits. You're talking about all of these things. And so, yeah.
Cardiology care.
To your
specialty
point,
care.
Well, yeah. But to your point, yes. To your great point is you've got the same system lobbying Medicaid or Medicaid expansion, et cetera. And if we don't do that, we're going to have to close clinics. And damn, it's the first order of business after that expanded. So they're using their lobbying power to, lean down for the stakeholders. Because, I mean, if you follow business, if you know the inside, you want those spreadsheets, you want those balance sheets lean, right? And so you want to fire people.
Counters.
Yeah.
Make the bean counters happy.
Yeah, exactly. So, we've seen evidence of some sinister shit afoot, whether it's lobbying to get stuff or shutting things down for profit.
I want to just, you're right, but I want to put this in context for people that are not from this area. Mission Memorial was a world-class heart or catheter or anything to do with cardiology. That was the world-class place for us to go. It serves 17 counties, 6,650 square miles. Not 1 or 2 counties, not 5 or 6 counties, 17.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I mean, this is happening, and it's driving prices up, period, point blank, end of discussion, even if you're in Wake County. And yes, Carol, they will get the foreign doctors.
Oh, yeah. They've already got them.
Well, I don't mind foreign doctors. I mean, I see one who's very well qualified, but with the foreign doctors law now that's passed that no one's talking about until we put the squeeze on them, a doctor can come in from a tent in Karachi who hasn't worked in 5 years and get an automatic pass to practice medicine here in this state without taking USMLE steps, which include typically a residency, just like Americans. It also includes passing a test. And I don't care what Grant Campbell tells you, who's a representative and also a doctor, or Timothy Reeder, and that they're wearing a white coat. I don't need a white coat to read and interpret legislation and cut through the bullshit. And they know it and they don't like it.
Well, I think what we did was alert North Carolinians to be aware. And if you don't want to read the legislations, we'll read it for you. If you don't want to fight for your own town, we'll fight for you. But here's what we'll do. We'll arm you. You should be able to ask your doctor, did you take a residency in the United States? You should be able to say that.
Yeah. There should be some sort of advertising. And, for all the several people, I'm not going to mention them, for all the people that were online, the elected representatives, I'm going to keep my mouth shut right now because we've got an election coming up. They came out and called Sloan Ratcliffe a liar because of the coverage I gave them. Not one, Margot, not one has asked for a correction. And it's been what? Maybe a year? Not one. So you say that I'm full of shit, the reporting's bad, etc. Not one request still for a correction.
Or to come on and explain the bill.
Oh, hell no, they won't come on and explain the bill.
But we did get a bunch of representatives that said, I didn't get to read that bill in full. We just took the people who read it out's word
40.
for it. And I'm panicked now. We got a bunch of those calls.
40 and counting.
Yep.
So anyway, I digress. You know, when I hear the foreign doctors law, when I hear that, for me, it's like a Clockwork Orange.
Well, and I don't know if you saw this. Do you follow Mary Bowden Tally Bowden on X? You may or may not. Doesn't matter. Today, I think it was Harmeet Dillon in the DOJ came out and said that they have actually have evidence that the UCLA Medical School is doing exactly what this foreign doctors law is going to do. It's giving placement to foreign students.
Okay. Well,
in residency programs and beyond.
Okay, but this bill, just to be clear, that's
You're right.
Bad. Okay. We don't even make them do a residency
You're
here
right.
in North Carolina. You get
the trend is all around.
Okay, you get a job offer, you get off the plane, and guess what? You can practice without any supervision. And you know who removed the supervision? 3 people in the Senate. Jim Bergen. The guy from Johnson County, please help me.
Brandon, sorry.
Yeah. And Amy Gailey. Amy Gailey.
Is she the lady that went to Sam's house?
You know she is. Isn't that a humdinger?
Sam Page's house, for those of you that don't know who I'm talking about.
She may not, or may have been
on the Ring camera.
Sauced. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I mean, you know, the consolidation, it actually hurts the consumer. And I can't think of a more ginger relationship than between you and your healthcare provider at a time of need, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, some of these, like Moorhead Memorial, those hospitals went bankrupt and they had to have a replacement. So that's just kind of what happened. So yeah. Now it is Teachers Appreciation Week. And I have to tell you, I appreciate
that was so funny.
Which one?
That it's Teacher Appreciation Week after last week when they got all the appreciation they wanted.
No, I put this up again, and I have to tell you, there's something wildly attractive about that slide. Okay, this is so cool. The U.S. Department of Education posted this for Teacher Appreciation, but check out the book cover, would you please?
Mega.
It is. I thought it was a brilliant trolling, if you will, of just everyone, right, of the left.
Maybe that's Randy Weingartner.
I know this is a cute guy. This is very cute.
I don't know. It has fur on its back.
Very, very cute. So as you know, we've been talking about this. There were districts that were closed for the protest, for the teachers' protest.
Yeah. And there were schools that begged the kids to come, even though the teachers weren't there, which I thought was interesting because Sloan, you're going to have to tell me about this one a little more. Yeah. School principals get incentivized for having students in school and not absent. Is that true? It's
true to a point. So there is an official time period. I think it's during the first 23 days of school. This is called your ADM. And so let's just say, you want your ADM very high. Here's why. Because you're paid per student, right? So those first 23 days, and by the way, guys, I'm not exact. It's somewhere in that range. You want to make sure that your school is full at maximum capacity. And then they don't really give a damn. Hi, Zachary. Nice to see you in the messages. They don't really care. So that's why really they're not enforcing these things, etc. But the ADM has to be high because they counted that period of day and they just cut it off.
And is it also true that students of different nationalities, meaning American Indian, Native American, in ethnicities, that they get different monies from the federal government for Native Americans, blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. Yeah. Our DPI is counting them under something called McKinsey-Vento. meaning they're counting them as homeless students. And the reason is because they want to monkey around with the statistics and not say that they, are, Venezuelan or whatever. That is in some school districts. Yes. Do they get extra money? Not supposed to, at all, but oftentimes they do.
But they do get federal supplemental money for like Native Americans. I know that. And military students, right?
But IEPs are the big one. So
gotcha.
IEP is a student with a learning difference, any type of learning difference. So they want to diagnose as many of those as they can. Gifted and talented. So let me tell you the difference. The interesting thing is gifted and talented is capped. So there's only a finite amount of money they're going to get, period. So it doesn't make a rat's ass if they've got 100 or 1,000 who are truly gifted. That's not your moneymaker. The learning disabilities and learning differences are. That's why you're seeing so many diagnoses, et cetera, because that's where the money is.
So hence, if you follow along closely, we've gone from $100 million to $600 million in spend on autism in 5 years.
Huh. That sounds connected.
And so, and now this I don't know about, but I'm pretty sure there's a connection. You'll tell me. Why do you need a private autism clinic near a school if you have kids with autism in your school? Why would you, do they supplement that out? How's that work?
Yeah, they can. They absolutely can. And they mostly do contract. So they're not providing that through the health department, right?
Oh, gotcha.
So you would typically think, okay, the provider is going to be the health department. They are not. In fact, there's 5 different, it's called MCO. Okay. They're contracted in different regions, and they are contracted to provide the behavioral services for the schools in that region. So they're contracted there to come in and do the diagnoses, et cetera. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that, but I thought that was interesting, the number of autism clinics that are showing up in Guilford County, Mecklenburg County, Wake County, Orange County.
That would be.
You feeling the theme?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I am. It's definitely like learning centers are popping up everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have followed that. I had Doach Roja on here. It must have been several months ago now. We covered that. I mean, it's been extensively covered by people. If you're on X, Data Republican has been doing great work with that. There's a lot of people who are getting these stats out, and they're unbelievable that are a system that really needs to service kids. It's not being used that way.
It's sad, but it's our job to report. It's your job to ask questions.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're going to ask questions, and then they're probably going to leave you hanging. They definitely won't leave us hanging, because we will not stop, and we will leave no stone unturned. So we do have the issue of the teachers. Wait a minute. Okay. So now look at the amount of counties. I want you to take a look of the walkouts. These are the counties. And now parents are showing. You're not seeing it?
Nope. Black screen.
Uh-oh.
Usually we call that the black screen of death.
Well, how did that happen? Okay, so let me put this on here again. Now, can you see it?
It's spinning. Oh, there it is.
Okay, so look at the amount of counties on there, please. Is that not insane? Those were the amount of counties that did not have school. So
that is insane.
Parents had to scramble. I think it's over 700,000 students. Many of them from the same family, to be fair. Like, there's 3 in one, but whatever the case, parents had to call out, etc. And during this, the reasons given were they wanted to reject cooperation with ICE. They wanted to reject maps.
That's you. That's you, not me.
Yeah, that's Sam. So yeah, Sam Page is supposed to be on with us. So in other words, they went out there under the pretext that they would, they wanted more pay, but you saw signs for everything.
Oh, Nazi signs. We got told that they want to correct the political maps, which has nothing to do with schools. They want $20,000 per student. They want 25% raises annually. The insanity of the things that didn't have anything to do. Get rid of the voucher system. They didn't want that.
Well, I'd like to break
Taxes.
the vouchers. I mean, we're waiting for Sam. He agreed to come on. Sam Page, as you know, one of the most well-covered races in the state. He beat longtime incumbent and Senator Pro Tem, or Speaker Pro Tem, Phil Berger. But he got a lot of flack because he went to the protest. So this is him with the NCAE leader. And he wants, obviously we all think teachers deserve raises, but he really espoused a lot of positions that the teachers union did. And we wanted to have him on here tonight because we supported him, right? And we don't really know the full circumstances, but we want you to hear him. He agreed to come on. I guess he's running late.
Well, listen, I sympathize with teachers. I've said this before. I have no problem with a teacher that does their job. I have a problem with a teacher that feels like they have to be my kid's mom or someone else's kid's mom, or needs to talk about their sex or their religion or take a day off to go protest. I have a problem with that. I don't have a problem. I don't even have a problem with giving teachers raises. I do believe that we have to find another way to do it. We just don't have the money in a budget. That doesn't mean there's not ways to do it.
Well, I thought Jacob Arthur, who is a legislative assistant for Jonathan Allman out of Cabarrus County, has some very good ideas, and I'm going to talk about them. But one of the things that Sam said that got him, into a lot of hot water is that he didn't agree with the vouchers. I have to tell you, I don't agree with the vouchers. The vouchers are, and they are vouchers, it's an opportunity scholarship theoretically that's supposed to take, let's just say, your ADM. Right? You got a school, their ADM is 1,000 students. Well, the Opportunity Scholarship is supposed to give up to $7,500 to each family for schools. We're going to talk about why we don't agree with all this. Well, so far, more money is going to education. So clearly it's not cutting down. It was sold to the public as we're going to cut down on costs because we're only going to pay half, and families can choose whatever they want. Right?
Then anything for me, we don't have anything.
We're going to talk about that, but I want to tell you this. Right now, Islamic academies, they're called madrasas, ladies and gentlemen, radical madrasas, where they literally sing about their wishes to kill Jews, Americans, and don't tell me it's not happening. We've shown videos of it right here in North Carolina, and they're growing. We've got another one in Iredell County and another one in Johnson County. They're one of the biggest recipients, okay, of teaching anti-American garbage on taxpayer dollars, and we're funding those extremist schools. I don't agree with the vouchers. A lot of the reason is because of that. Another reason is, guess what? We don't agree to providing free health care. Why do we have government and education? This is the reason, by the way, guys, universities are unaffordable, period, because the original thesis was, well, the government is going to give student aid to go to anywhere they want. And now look, we can't afford school. Anytime you get government into funding schools, into funding this, and you don't have as much accountability, I don't agree with it. There, I said it.
I don't agree with it because it really has. Listen, we're already behind in Western North Carolina in the rural communities. A lot of places still don't have broadband. We don't have the same access to computer systems that others do. Yeah, but we don't have other schools to go to. There's no other alternative. We don't even have charter schools. So I just don't agree with it.
And I'm wondering, I
wanted to agree with it though, Sloan. I was very gung-ho in the beginning, and then I started to step back.
To your point, they're concentrated in a certain area, private schools. There's a lot of problems with private schools. I'm going to tell you what. When you go to a private school, guess what it runs by? Contract. So if you sign a contract for a private school, you are in it.
Oh, you can't leave? Oh, you got to pay the year if you do.
Financially. So let's say that you get $5,000 for your child and have to come up with the other $5,000. You can take them out, but you're still paying for the school. So it's different.
It's like daycare. Even if you go on vacation, your kids still have to pay.
I'm not going to sit here and say that private schools are the panacea for everything that ails public education.
No, parents are.
It wouldn't be responsible. That's right. It wouldn't be responsible. So, I think schools should have a choice, but I think they should compete on financial circumstances as well. What's the first thing that happened as soon as the opportunity scholarships went online?
Major high-end schools put out feelers for kids they wanted and offered to match those opportunity scholarships. That's what happened.
So,
and they weren't from here. They want
already gone up. Look, this is basic market economics that conservatives have agreed on since time immemorial, and now we abandon those just for school choice.
Well, I've really started thinking about schools and what's happened to them and how the consolidation of power, even in a small community, in large cities, it's always consolidate, make it the collective has to be together, right?
Like healthcare. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And what my thought process is, I think about my parents and my grandparents, because my grandmother was a teacher. My dad went to school in a one-room schoolhouse with everybody in different grades. He was the valedictorian.
Right.
How is it better for him to be in a school system with the whole county when he got what he needed being in the competition around him in a small environment? And the community praised them.
And plus, mentoring, there's a tremendous benefit to mentoring to younger children, right? In fact, I dare say that if you're mentored, let's say by a junior mentors a third grader, you're a hell of a lot safer than having male teachers or coaches, because they get busted for alleged sexual improprieties with children almost on a daily basis right here in North Carolina.
Yeah, I agree with you. The other thing is that communities will discipline for someone in a community. Meaning, if you're in a small community like my father and my mother grew up in, that they're always listen. If I got in trouble in school, she knew before I got home. My mom knew before I got home. She'd meet me at the door at school.
Yeah, so there's a lot of problems with government in education already. I can't imagine why they thought expanding government to private sector business, which, by the way, is completely anathema to anything conservative. Why would that be a good idea? Because it's not.
The more I think about it, the less we should be a part of a collective, because that's exactly what the Democrats are, a collective. They do everything together in step. And it takes away the creativity. They try to sell you on it, and it's not creative at all. It's not creative to tell a gifted child, you should just go in the classroom with average children because you'll be the smartest one there. When I'd rather have a kid make a C and be learning and excelling.
We have a lot of problems in education, and I'm not an expert in how to solve them, but I am. I do study conservatism and what we're supposed to be doing and thinking. I'm not going to change my views because that is the
party way.
Yeah, that's what's going on. It's, in my mind, a shitty idea. We're going to be finding that out. We're starting to find that out because we've got madrasas popping up everywhere, and you can't disallow those. Although you can do something that Texas has done and keep money going from Muslim Brotherhood schools. We have schools here, K through 12, that are Muslim Brotherhood affiliated. Don't argue with me. It's happening. So
you can go online and put it in. I found them in Mecklenburg County.
Oh, absolutely.
And they qualify by saying, to be a member of this school, you must be a member of this,
which is standard mosque. Yeah, mosque. Yeah. So the madrasas is like a church school. Yeah, etc. Except ain't no church about it, and we have to pay for that. So Sam is also an active duty sheriff of Rockingham County, and I think an emergency came up, so we can certainly
we'll get him back on here.
On it. Yeah. But He's definitely have something to say. But when I talk to freshman lawmakers, I tell them this: if there's a lot, if Democrats are congregating or for something or pushing something, don't have your ass out there doing it too. It will
Don't be taking pictures.
It will bite you in the ass, because I'm telling you, unfortunately now, there's not really a lot of bipartisan things going on. If the Democrats are all out there doing something, don't be out there supporting it publicly. I'm telling you.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot of buyer's remorse. You've heard it. I've heard it. I know. I want him to speak to that. I hope we get an opportunity to do that, because they don't understand. They don't understand. And we want to give them an opportunity to understand. By the way, who do we have coming up tomorrow?
We have Luke Farley, who is labor commissioner, to talk about something.
E-Verify.
In fact, when I had Luke on, I call him the commish. When I had him on, you were gone to vacation 7 or 8 months ago. I really put him in the corner on the E-Verify.
Well, it's the most landmark legislation on E-Verify, and the one that's got the most teeth in it. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm hoping that the sponsor of the bill in the House, which is my representative, Carl Gillespie, whom I love, not in a biblical way, but I'm hoping I can get him to come on the show and talk about it too. He's the majority whip in the House, because this is groundbreaking legislation, and grassroots conservatives need to get behind it, because it is helping small business owners who follow the law.
Correct, which all of them do. And the corporations get away with not having to follow E-Verify because they're just too damn big to be inspected. I think what he's going to tell us is that there's some way other than an external complaint that would generate an investigation.
Yeah.
That would be great, because again, 7 months ago, we weren't there. Now we're here. Luke does what he says he's going to do, what he was elected for. And we're going to hear it straight from him tomorrow night.
I'm super excited. To be transparent, I wasn't a Luke fan in the beginning. I had to warm up to him, but once I did,
sides, remember?
Yeah, I do remember. And then he literally said, "Let me call you." And when I talked to him, I changed my mind.
Okay, so Sam is here, so we're going to run a little time. It's hard fighting crime and fighting the system at the same time, and Democrats. So, welcome, Sam.
Is that your official a duty hat?
It is.
Is it really?
It is.
That's great. You and Brian Echeverria.
Exactly. I saw him the other day with his on. Yes, ma'am.
When he's on here, I said that he's stealing your look. So, right quick, what we said, first of all, we already explained everything. On the vouchers, though, we are agreeing with you. And you've been getting a hard time from conservatives in the media who are just in lockstep with us without looking at things like what we were talking about. When you get government money into a private system, it's never good. It started off, with the universities that the government got involved, put their money in, and then prices went up. So we're seeing some of the same things, but we wanted to give you, I'm sure you've been getting the business, right, about this.
Yes. Well, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Well, Sam, first of all, let me say congratulations, because I haven't talked to you since you won, other than by text. But the big thing is, explain to the audience why you felt the need to stand with teachers that would leave their students or not be in the. That's a work day. That was a work day. Why did you feel the need to be there with them?
Well, that wasn't a reason why I went, but I'll say this is they could have very well had the rally on a Saturday when it wouldn't even affected the schools. That would have made more sense. It would also save some money too, but it also would allow time for the kids to receive their education as they need. But the reason why I went was very simple. When I don't understand things or I want to hear, I don't watch on social media. I go to the source and ask the questions. So I basically went amongst a lot of people with different opinions and stuff. But when I got down there, I got to listen to the teachers about what their concerns are. I didn't want to hear what the administration has to say. I want to hear what the teachers have to say, what their concerns are.
What'd they tell you?
Well, first of all, they told me that the issue was a discipline in the schools. And I said, well, I was a former school resource officer and back in the late 90s. And I said, I always felt that discipline should start at home, and that's the problem. There's a breakdown there. Teachers should be prepared to teach when they come to school, and kids should be prepared to learn. The teachers were telling me that they want to teach, and not so much teaching the test, but teaching the children. And I believe that the math, the reading, the writing, those principles, we need to be teaching those things. They were telling me a lot of kids, they get to the 4th grade, they're not at that level, the reading level. So my question was, is there something we can do? If we're going to put money out to help our schools, because I'm looking for solutions to improve our schools, public schools in this conversation, I said, do they not have what reading coaches that you can employ to bring in and work with the students to get them up to reading level? The second thing is, I think and I don't know the exact law or process, but I think it's harder to hold children back. They're not at the reading level or meeting where they should be at the level. Mm-hmm. It's harder to hold kids back. And that might be part of No Child Left Behind conversation. I'm not sure. Yeah, but again, at the end of the day, I was able to talk to the teachers and ask them the pay issue, the pay differentials, different places pay teachers a little different. But in general, if you're going to have quality people that are teaching your kids, you got and you're going to have some professionals. You got to pay them. In law enforcement, I've seen it also. That
you have
the lack of respect and the lack of funding, but the expectation to do all these different activities. And I'm saying, well, if you're going to hire professional to teach your kids, which to me is important, very important, then we need to make sure that we hire and retain the best. And that's the same thing in law enforcement. I see it as a sheriff. I want to hire and retain the best people in the work because we're serving the citizens. And here's another one. I had a few teachers say, well, Sheriff, you're a Republican. Why are you here? I said, well, you know what?
That's what we're saying. That's what we're saying.
And I worked around schools a long time. And I said, you know what? I've never seen education as a Republican, Democrat, or unaffiliated issue. I see it as an issue about the future of our country, our state, our nation, and the kids that we're educating so they can move forward, giving them a quality education. Our Constitution says that every child is guaranteed to a free public education. But I want to tack onto that and a quality education because these kids are the future.
Well,
and so
I would argue with you on this front. When you're looking at the NCAE, when you're looking at the radical teachers here, that's probably 1% of the entire population of teachers. In fact, teachers go into teaching because it's a calling. Those are the teachers we need to be hearing from.
Right.
These are the teachers that are radicalized, etc. And by the way, Sheriff, with all due respect, I don't know that a lot of them are acting in good faith. Matter of fact, we have plenty of evidence that they're not, with the signs they were carrying, the things they were saying.
I saw some of the signs after the fact, and I got to be very clear. I don't subscribe to the NCAE. Okay. Yes, I was there talking to the teachers, but I don't subscribe to their policies. My whole purpose was to go there as I would as a sheriff, and when I wanted to know about the drugs and the issues that are coming from the border to the United States, interior, affecting and taking lives, I went to the border. I flew down there and spent time to work and understand so I could see how that worked.
With experts. You spent time with experts who were operating in good faith.
Well, well, again, if I need to know something, I go and ask the questions. And sometimes, Sloan, sometimes I've had, as a sheriff, 20 years in law enforcement, I've had to go places that people don't want to go. But and I've had to walk among people that may not like me, may not care about me, but I just wanted to try to get from the ground up situation. And like I said, I know there was a lot of rhetoric and a lot of going on with the NCAA, but I don't subscribe. If the NCAA wanted to be successful, you know what they should do? They should sit down and talk to our Republicans in the legislature and talk to them and communicate.
They demonize them. What they do is they
and they'll do that to you.
No, let's hope not. But they spend a lot of time really going after Republicans, and to your point, in other words, they're a Democrat operation. That's what they are.
Well, again, I saw this in the Obama administration. I have to relate it kind of back to law enforcement. During the Obama administration, there was a guy named, remember Eric Holder?
Oh, yeah.
he spent since the very beginning of the Obama administration, he spent most of his time villainizing local law enforcement officers. And don't get me wrong, there's some officers out there that haven't done it right, but there's a large population, a great population of professionals that do it right every day. But we were getting thrown into the same conversation, and we were getting beat up. So I can kind of see, and you know, do I know that every teacher that was down there was subscribed to everything the NCAA? I don't know, but I just wanted to know from an education standpoint, what are some of the issues, some of their concerns? And the way I do it is go and ask the question. When the shrimpers, watch this, when the shrimpers were getting put out of business, I don't live on the coast. I do not interact except when I go to the restaurant with shrimp, but I don't, and I like them,
That's
but
enough
I don't.
for me. That's enough for me. If you take away my calabash shrimp, you
Yeah.
have a problem.
Oh, we're gonna fight because I gotta have my oysters and my shrimp. But what I was saying is, when I went down and I spent 2 days amongst about 1,000 people that were protesting, that were upset, and I didn't know all the issues, so I spent time walking around and asking questions. Say, I need to know kind of what's going on, and then I talked to some representatives that I knew to try to relay that information, try to help them. And they were almost put out of business. But I said, with all the trucks, with people out there and showing their concern, and the families, you know, and I saw the families out there, and it reminds me of some of the tobacco farmers back home when they started buying out the tobacco farmers and stuff. But I worry about when we have people trying to put people out of business and industries that are looking after families. And so anyway, I went down there, saw that. If there's situations I don't know, I think as a sheriff, I've always inquired about how does that work? How does that affect us? What's the truth? I want to find the truth. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were some person, like you said, that were radical, don't care what you say. But if they wanted to truly make a difference, if the NCAA wanted to truly make a difference, they sit down and they would talk to our Republicans. I'm just saying, if they truly wanted to, but I don't subscribe to their rhetoric. What I do believe in is our children. I believe in our children. I believe in the future of this state. I believe in this nation. I serve my country, and I continue to serve my country in a different capacity. But I care about my community. I care about my district, and I did try to specifically run into some Guilford County teachers because I wanted to see. They're in the district, and I want to ask them questions. I saw some people from Rockingham County, but they gave me some good information, and some of that is what I told you. But the NCAA, if they don't want to work with the men and women in the legislature and the Republicans, if they don't want to do that, then how in the world can you come to an understanding, a midpoint?
Sheriff, their position is they want SROs out of school. Okay, so they have some radical positions, but
they would find out very quickly that I have fought for years to put SROs in every school. As a former SRO, my job was to protect the teachers, protect the staff, protect the students, protect the schools. So the thing is, if teachers feel safe, they can teach. If students feel safe, they can learn. And that was my premise.
And they actually told you that while you were down there. So that's your proof point.
Well, and I want to commend you because, first of all, I love your style. Get in there and learn. But, you know, I read about you one time, Sheriff Page, and I didn't take you, when you went down there, I didn't think of you as going in the sheriff's role. I thought of you as going in as the legislator's role. And I think that your explanation means something because teachers have to talk to police officers about crime and kids. And that's important. And then the other thing I want to say is one thing I read about you, and I don't know if you know that people can look this up online.
Yes,
you were talking about people that were in your custody. And you said, I don't care what their crime is. They're still a human being. And I still need to take care of them and give them dignity and let their families know they're safe. And I feel like it doesn't matter if you were talking about a criminal, an elderly person, or a student, you would say the same thing.
I haven't changed who I am.
That's right.
In 44 years in law enforcement. And how can you get rid of the sheriff hat? How can you get rid of that?
You cannot. You cannot. You got to keep it.
I mean, how can you get rid of the sheriff, the thought process? And Sloan, like I said, I thought like some other people, some naysayers, some people over there that are saying this or that. I'm saying, I thought about the same things. I said, I'm concerned about optics, but you know what? but the thing is, I just don't see education I don't see it as Democrat, Republican. I see it as our future and these kids. And
I think that's a great explanation. I'm glad that you're willing to come on and explain that. But
yeah,
let's shift for a second. You're one of the few, and I don't know, Margo, you probably know more about this than I do. You're one of the few primary candidates that Trump did not endorse, all right? Endorse your opponent. And
yes,
you
whooped
them. The odds. Yeah. So Mazel Tov, very, very good. How does it feel to beat all the odds? You bought the big money machines. People want to say, they want to report, oh, wow, Sam Page had big Democrat donors. You did not have big Democrat donors. That is a lie. People want to say you had millions of dollars. You did not have millions of dollars. That is a lie. But what we know is true.
Let me say this, and I will just tell you this. I was watching a podcast this morning about 6 a.m. from way back, and I was listening. I listened to the show. Tim Boyum did some shows with him, and there was a guy on that show that said his name was Jim Blaine. He said something along, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, we know.
He said something along the lines that if I stayed in this race, that I would have to leave Rockingham County after it's all over. Well, I'm still here. And I told him we were going to win this, not because of the money raised, but because the relationships built with the citizens I serve. And the thing is, Sheriff, you let me as Sheriff, I serve you. And I told people, if you need assistance out there and you call me, I don't care who you are. If you ask for help, I'm going to help you. And my people are going to help you. And that's what you expect. And I just want to see what I can do working with the legislative body, working with the Republicans in the House and Senate. What can I do to contribute to help for the betterment of our state? Because again, I go back to it. I'm so worried about the future, and our kids are our last chance to get it right, to work with them, to help them get the best education, the best quality education, so they have a chance in the future. And I think that's a responsibility we have as adults. I think it's a responsibility I have as elected official, whether I'm sheriff or whether I'm a senator or representative, as my job is to do my best for the future. And we're working for the future is what we're doing. And the thing is I heard some comments and stuff like this, but I told people that a lot of people making those comments have never walked in my shoes. They never walked in shoes of danger. They never been exposed to risk like I have. And you know what? I've seen a lot in my lifetime, and I'm hoping that from a public safety perspective, I hope when I get down to the legislature and everybody comes out and votes in November, we can be there. Don't sit at home. But I can say this. I'm looking forward to providing some expertise in those areas that will benefit the senators that I work with, the caucus that I work with, to help bring about some good legislation that helps to protect our citizens. And because I believe in doing what's right, I believe in keep it simple, but to the point. Let's do our best for the people that we serve, and never forget who you work for and who your bosses are. I never will forget that. And my family has been behind me. But I got to say one thing. Yes, we were successful, but I will tell you this, and you know this, Sloan, there are a lot of people behind the scenes that helped me, that gave their time, their sweat, their efforts to make a difference. And you know who they are. And I appreciate them, and I'm going to continue working hard. I will never do anything to let the people down that I serve. And I will never forget the people in the district who I work for, my bosses.
Well, we are really glad that you had an opportunity to come on. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the legislature. I think your background is something that is needed. We need someone that has a strong law enforcement background to look across North Carolina and see some of the things that people may not have paid attention to, like Sloan did. I hope one day she'll talk about her undercover work with
exactly.
That the SBI is not highlighted or appreciated enough. Teachers. And I have to say one thing to you. You know what I found interesting? I bet if I asked you this, you'll tell me this for sure. People are nicer to you in public when you show up like you did at that teacher's march than they are behind the keyboard. They'll actually have a conversation with you and not be belligerent. Am I correct?
They're going to be more scared. He stands 6'7".
I know.
Hey, Sloan, I will say this. I was probably the only one with the cowboy hat on. But let me, here was one comment. I didn't say this, but I had a lot of people don't even know who they were, but they thanked me for being there. And they thanked me. So see, the thing is, I tried to talk and let the media know number one, we got to work together in the legislature to get that budget set, because that budget affects a lot of people.
Yeah.
And but I did get a lot of thank yous, and also I didn't feel like I was, because I was a Republican, I didn't feel like I was being turned out. But the main thing is, I just wanted to get to the root of it and ask the questions. And as a former criminal investigator, hey, I want to know the truth. My job is to find the truth.
Because the truth is an absolute defense.
Yes, ma'am.
If you know, you know. One other thing before I let you go.
Yes, ma'am.
What
Yes, ma'am.
do you think of my new phone case? Look.
Wait. I've not seen that before.
And now they have it in black. I've also got it in black, but I don't want people to think, but, and you tuck it in your waistband. It's my phone case. You can practice your trigger pulls and just tuck it in your waistband. You like
Sloan,
that?
You surprise me every time. Yeah, I've never, when you think you've seen all the technology out there and stuff, you go like, who? People are very creative, but I'll say this. I appreciate you giving me a chance. I apologize for being a little technically challenged here,
okay.
but I do want to say is I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak. And you know what? And I hope to get more opportunities to speak. Because look, I'm doing some visiting. I'll tell you this. I'm doing some visiting down in Guilford County on the property tax issues. Now, I saw where our Republicans have just filed and passed in the Senate on the dealing with the property tax and revow. So now it goes to the House. So I'll be following that. That's a big issue right now. And I'm gonna say the second issue is utility rates.
Yeah, absolutely. Data centers.
We need to come back. We need to come back and have a discussion on that. But setting the budget is very important so we can have our government operations in this state, and also property tax. People should not feel like they're being taxed out of their property. And I appreciate the senators doing, and the Republican senators are doing what they can do to try to move that forward to the House, and hopefully they can find that right spot.
Yeah, their House has their own version. They're probably going to collapse them in together. My understanding is there's some bipartisan support for the Senate bill, and just so everyone knows, that will be in effect in 2027 should it pass.
So if they pass, it'll be a moratorium that goes for 1 year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
And so, but we also should not forget the utility rates too. That's something I'm looking at, and I'll be talking to some of our senators down in Raleigh and House members and ask, what's going on.
You need to talk to your sheriff up here in Cherokee County, who you know very well, Chris Wood.
I did. I talked to him about less than a week ago.
Anyway, I need you to talk to him about the data centers here. We only have 27,000 people in this county, and we have 3 data centers, Sheriff, and they're all incentivized by the TVA. So we're going to talk about that when you have your little conversation.
Well, real quick. That's one thing. During the campaign, I started seeing a lot of information on the data centers popping up all over North Carolina, and the big question is why, and the benefit, economical impact, ecological impact. What does it do to the eco? And because citizen safety and protect, we got water resources and we got limited power. So we want to make sure that, everybody has the electricity they need so they can go about their lives. And we just want to make sure we protect our resources out here. Because we've got 2 or 3 rivers here in my area that are very important.
Well, we got them here too. The Nantahala Gorge and the Ocoee, which I'm sure you're familiar with. But I hope you come up and see us sometime.
I'm looking forward to it. But I did have a good conversation with your new sheriff, and I worked with him years ago when he was a trooper down here in Rockingham County.
I don't know if you know it, but he worked under my cousin as a state patrolman.
Oh wow! Now was your cousin in this area in Greensboro area?
He wasn't. Yeah, he was actually Chris's boss there.
Can I ask you who he was?
Yeah, Dale Keenum.
Well, I can tell you what, I've worked around law enforcement in Rockingham County for 44 years. So I bet you I've crossed paths.
I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
Well, Chris is going to make a fine sheriff, and I enjoy working.
November, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, but again, back to it again. Everybody needs to get out. Don't sit at home. Every dollar counts. Every vote counts. Don't sit at home. Make it count. It's very important for your state and for the future of our state.
Thanks, Sheriff Page.
Thank you.
All right, guys, have a very good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night with the Labor Commissioner on as well. Good night.
That's a wrap on today's NC Political Tea. We hope you're leaving sharper, spicier, and ready to take on the political craziness in the Tar Heel State. If you loved what you heard, or even if it made you mad, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this show with your friends, family, and that one coworker who just needs the truth. Follow us on social media to stay in the loop and get your daily dose of conservative fire. And remember, here in North Carolina, the grassroots grows stronger when we stand together. Until next time, keep the faith, keep up the fight, and don't let the left water down your tea. This is NC Political Tea, where we spill it like it is.